Join us as we delve into some of the hot topics that both unite and divide us. We won't always agree, but let's commit to having those difficult conversations and open up some thought-provoking dialogue so that together we can start the process of getting back together. Listen, we've thought about it. We've even thought about it. Now let's talk about it with yours truly, James Kirkland, on the Intellectual Stew. I retreat to that child that's inside of me, and I still punish myself and send myself to the room. That's the childhood trauma that many of us face and have yet to deal with. And then we bring all that stuff into relationships and think that we have it all together. We have to grow together. And sometimes growing together means groaning together. I'm preaching better than y'all letting on tonight. I promise I am. So he goes back in the room to Eli and says, Eli, you did call me. I heard a voice. I don't know whose voice it was. If it wasn't you, who was it? And I can relate to Eli because at 12 years old, I was in my parents' house at 6612 Allwood Drive. And I heard a voice call me. It said, James. I woke up. And it was 2:00 in the morning. I said, Daddy, did you call me? I woke my parents out of their sleep. Mama, did you call me? Felice, nobody called. 9 years later, I heard that same voice again. So he does speak. He might not have spoke to you, but he does speak. And he spoke to Samuel in that moment. And when he speaks, when you recognize that it's the shepherd that's speaking, because we are the sheep and the sheep do recognize the shepherd's voice. Once you recognize his voice, at that point, we have a responsibility. And here, because Eli perceived that the Lord had called the Lord, Eli said, Samuel, this time go lay down. And it shall be if he calls again. If he calls again. I got a little more faith than if he calls again, because if he called once, I think he's going to call again. So it's not if he calls again, but when he calls again. So I don't know if he spoke. I just felt in my spirit, whoever's listening to me right now, if he's ever spoken in your life and it feels like he's not speaking now, trust me, it's not if he speaks again, it's when he speaks again. Because he is going to speak again. Understand, the gifts and calling of God are without repentance. If he spoke, if he called you, it's not if he speaks again, it's when he speaks again. So I have to correct you, Eli. Eli said, if he speaks, no, it's when he speaks. But this is what you're going to say. Speak, Lord, for thy servant heareth. See, Alicia, I applaud you, because I've watched Alicia try to put her children in the best possible position, whether it was Arkansas or Georgia or wherever, because she wanted to try to give her children. She takes them on vacation. She wants to put them in best possible positions, right? And that's what we should do, right? Even if we're not equipped with what's necessary. You might not have money to get your child in college, but you can help them fill out a college application. You can fill out a FAFSA. You could check those progress reports from the 9th through the 12th grade. And when they get off a little bit, you can make sure you get those grades up, or you can talk to the teacher and tell them how to get. I used to tell my children when they came in with an 89, I'm like, listen, you need to go holler at your teacher and ask them, is there anything you could do to get some extra points so you can get that A? Because even if you don't have the wherewithal or the resources in that moment, you can get them in the position to get the proper resources, right? So Eli didn't know what the Lord was going to say, but he told Samuel what he should do. He said, go and lay down. And when he speaks, not if he speaks, but when he speaks this time, here am I, speak, Lord, for thy servant heareth. At that point, now, Stacy just said it right. Now you're in a position to hear. You have to get your children in a position. I know some great mothers, mothers of autistic children, and they've done the research on how to get their children the right resources, whether it's monetary resources or whether it's educational resources or whether it's medication or whatever is necessary to give their child an easier life. All of us should want our children to do better than we did. That's the fruit of your labor. That's the real glory of the situation, right? You know, to respect your children, give your children choices that you didn't have, right? If you smoke weed, that's your thing, man, you know, but close the door. You know, don't expose them to stuff. You know, are you bringing different men in and out the house all the time, or different women in and out the house all the time? Because they're sponges. And the things that they pick up, those are learned behaviors that they're picking up from you. And sometimes there was a season that we had to sacrifice ourselves so that we could seed into our children. Wasn't happy. I mean, sometimes we wasn't happy, but happiness is based on happenings. And I was happy to see my children happy. I was happy to see them succeed. I mean, and went through the ups and the downs of life, been Negro rich, been poor, been in 4-5 bedroom houses, been homeless, drove Mercedes, drove minivans. I mean, done it all. But in whatsoever state, in whatsoever state I'm in, I've learned to be content. In whatsoever state I'm in. So that's why you can't make me doubt him, because I know too much. And the only constant through everything that I've been through, especially that, because I've told you in the past that there were moments that silence sounded like noise to me, because I was so used to having people in the house, but I was alone with me and my thoughts, and silence sounded like noise. But the only constant was that God kept sending reminders. I'm going to tell you two things that God sent me. He sent me reminders, and he sent me ravens. You know what ravens are? Go and read the story of Elijah at the brook of Kerith. I might teach that one next week. But every day ravens showed up with sirloin tips, with meat and bread, flesh and bread. And the thing about it is that ravens were birds that ate meat, but they held the meat in their mouth long enough to tend to the man. Elijah, it was like he was going through surgery with no anesthesia. And sometimes that's like life for us. We go through surgery because God's working on us. He's trying to get the best out of us. And sometimes surgery is necessary. But when it comes to these self-inflicted wounds, or these things that we go through because we fail to look in the mirror, we fail to create the proper environment for growth, or things of that nature, then what ends up happening is we get comfortable. But once surgery is over, nobody stays in the surgery room. But once, Alicia, you're about to go into nursing, when you come out of surgery, you go in a recovery room, and you recover from what just took place to your body, because a change has taken place. Your body has experienced trauma. When my dad had his quadruple bypass surgery, the nurse told us, we did some very traumatic things to your body. We did some violent things to your body. We took a circular saw and had to cut open your sternum. As life works on us, oh God, as we go through this thing in life where it feels like surgery with no anesthesia. But the anesthesia came in the form of the ravens, because every day God showed up. The anesthesia came in the form of the reminders, because even when you forgot, people still reminded you of your purpose. And even when you feel like you're growing up in a world, and I'm almost done, where you feel misunderstood, as you grow, as you become aware, as God begins to reveal purpose in your life, and when you show enough have purpose in your life, he'll send reminders just to let you know, first of all, I have not forgotten about you. I still have you in my plan. You might have messed up, but self-inflicted wound, even with the self-inflicted wounds, Romans 8 and 28 is still applicable, because, and we know all things So y'all don't like to say all things. Y'all like to say y'all things. But no, it didn't say that. It said all things work together for the good of them that love the Lord, for them who are called according to the purpose. Whatever your purpose is, despite what you're going through, if God has called you, I mean, and you know, and you might have grew up in obscurity. You might have had undiagnosed ADHD. You might have been a victim of some poor parenting mistakes, you know, because we all made them. I know I've made my own. I sent Trey to, I could have kept Trey at home one more hour and it would have been the difference between an A and a B, but I didn't feel like taking him to school. That was dumb. Didn't make sense. From every morning, I'm waking up yelling at Mackenzie, trying to make her hurry up and catch the bus. And I'm putting all this pressure on her. And I'm watching this child cry. And all of a sudden, the light went off. My spidey senses said, just shut up. And if she's late, take her to school. Because it wasn't worth a relationship. Is it worth a relationship? Some of y'all do that tough love stuff. That never worked with me. Never worked with me. You know, show enough Elder Lisa Smith, if a barber, I've been going to my barber about 11, 12 years, so we comfortable now. But if I go to a new barber shop and I walk in, the way I'm going to tell which barber I'm going to use is by watching the people get out of the barber's chair, each barber's chair. Because if everybody gets out of the chair and all their haircuts look alike, that's not the barber for me. Because he's cutting with the template. That's not how my hair grows. My hair kind of grows in circles. It grows across. It doesn't grow down like that. So you can't cut mine and give me the most effective haircut. Children are not templates. They're individual. They have their own fingerprints. Every last one of them. But we want to put them in categories. How? Why? Because you want to be able to control the outcome? And you can still do that. But just be creative and cultivate. And if you're creative and cultivate, then watch and see what comes forth. Your children, yeah. It happens, man. It happens. But we're learning. So Samuel, if you know the story, Samuel went and he laid back down. And when he laid back down, God spoke. And when God spoke, he said, God spoke again. The Lord said, behold, I will do a thing in Israel. Well, first Samuel said, speak for thy servant heareth in verse 10. Verse 11 said, I'm going to do a thing in Israel at which both the ears of everyone that heareth it shall tingle. And not because before this moment, there was no open heaven. There was no open word. There was no prophet over the nation to give the people a word. The people in those days, they waited for a word. They weren't going to move until they heard a word. They weren't going to do any. They were not going to respond or do anything without hearing a word. And so he said, I'm going to give you a word, but the word I give you is going to make their ears tingle. And he starts talking about, I'm going to judge the house of Eli because Eli let his sons run rampant. He let his sons defile the temple, and I'm going to kill them, but I'm going to raise you up. And some great things are going to happen. And let me tell you this, even if you have felt misunderstood, even if you have felt like you didn't fit in certain settings and certain situations as you grew, that doesn't mean you don't have purpose. That doesn't mean that there's not a call on your life. That doesn't mean that there's not greater in store for you. It is. But the thing is, you just have to attach to whatever that purpose is. I spoke with someone earlier today, and we talked about this stuck on the couch thing, because they said that they feel like they've transferred from the couch to the bedroom. And they wanted that to be a negative place. And I said, I feel you on that. I feel you. That could be a negative thing. But you know what I told him, Viola? I said, at least you moved. At least you moved. For a season, I couldn't go in the bedroom. I slept on the couch. I never went to bed. I didn't go to bed. I fell asleep. And when I woke up, I would try to get in the bed. And when I got in the bed, I couldn't lay there 15 minutes because the walls felt like they were closing in on me. So I would have to go get right back on the couch. That was a season of my life. So if you've got up off the couch and you're able to get in the bed, man, I mark every milestone. And when I mark a milestone, you know what I'm going to do to it? I'm going to check it off the list. What a friend we have in Jesus. Okay, yeah, that's where I'm at. That's where I'm at. So we got to create environments for our children to win. We got to create environments for them to be successful. I'm going to start winding this conversation down. If someone wants to testify or tell some experiences with their childhood traumatic situation, feel free to hit my line 404-860-2775. I'll give you 2 or 3 minutes, and you can share your experience with your childhood traumatic situation where you might have felt misunderstood, where you might have felt as though you might. Because you know what, the young lady that I had on last week, she said something that was powerful to me. She said, "Oh, somebody keeps trying to call. Are you hanging up, or am I just not answering the phone? Wait a minute, what's going on here? All right, I'm about to call. I'm gonna call you back. I don't know what's going on. Why am I not receiving calls? Somebody keeps trying to call me. I would if inbox me and let me know your name and tell me who you are that's trying to call, and I'll call you back because I see a number that keeps trying to call, but I don't know why it's not ringing. I'm not going to do that. I don't know why it's not ringing because everything is supposed to be set up. But if you inbox me and tell me who you are that's trying to call, you got one you feel like you can't win. Okay, it happens that way sometimes. You can create but some rebel. Absolutely. Absolutely. And you got to do a law. And at this point, at a certain point, you almost have to do a law of averages, right? You know, nothing is absolute. You know, you're not going to get it right 100% of the time ever. But there is something that will get that attention, and you just have to find out what it is. It might not be you. It might be somebody else that you have to buffer through, you know, but you got to get somebody that's on your side, that's not going to fight against you or rebel against you. I wish I knew who this was. Let me see what that area code is so I can tell who it is, because I don't like to miss phone calls, but I don't know why my phone is not ringing. That is weird. They're calling from Washington State. Okay. Yeah, but either way, so I want to take phone calls either way, but I'm sorry if I can't. Blame it on technical difficulties because it ain't my fault. It's not my fault. It's not my fault. All right. So but we got to create that atmosphere. Samuel had to come in 3 times, and 3 of those times he was told to go lay back down. In other words, be quiet. I don't want to hear it. I'm not equipped to handle it. But eventually we redeem ourselves, because what do we do as parents? We grow up. Stuff you got wrong with the first child, you sometimes fix it with the second child. Alicia, sometimes with the third and fourth child, but you know, sometimes with the third and fourth child, we're tired from parenting the first 3. Does that make sense? We're so tired, so they're able to get away with murder, you know, that we couldn't have, some stuff we wouldn't have ever been able to get away with, because yeah. And so you get tired. You get a little tired along the way. You get a little tired along the way. So you have to get help. You have to get a supplement. And eventually, if you planted the seed right, the preacher said, I think it's Ecclesiastes chapter 11 or somewhere around the neighborhood. It said, if you cast our bread on the water, it shall return. And the old preacher said it'll come back with butter and jam on it. I like jelly personally, grape or strawberry. But if you plant the seed and you did it right, exactly. But you know what? But that's what we do with the third and fourth child. Baby, get away from me. I can't. I'm tired. Because we're tired. Life has worn us out, and we don't parent them with the same veracity that we did the first 2. You know, when it starts to get a little easy, I'm just talking about me. If that ain't your shoe, don't put it on. I wear size 12, so everybody don't wear the same size shoe. So if that don't fit your situation, but create an atmosphere for them to succeed, right? Like I told you, this is my point. If y'all don't get anything out of what I said tonight, this is what I want you to get. Let them choose. Once they choose, you cultivate. And the way you cultivate is by being creative. You don't have the resources, figure out how to get the resources. Sometimes you got to fill out some paperwork. And it ain't always, and paperwork ain't always welfare. Sometimes people just want to sow a seed, or they want to see some people win. So if that happens, be thankful. Be grateful that something like that even is happening in your life, or somebody. But you got to get to the resources. I remember one time Mackenzie came over here. Well, when she wasn't living with me, she was still in high school then, and Mackenzie was having trouble with physics. I mean, she was struggling. She was crying, and physics. It was hard. She was in 11th grade, I think, at that time, because she did all of her hard classes and prerequisites and maths. But anyway, she had physics, and she was struggling. And so when she came in, number one, I know I don't know physics, so I Googled physics tutors, or tutors for physics, and I found a tutor online, an app, and the guy came over and he taught her how to, started opening up her understanding with physics. And then he started helping her with homework assignments, and if she had to take a home test, he would help her with the test and that grade. And the more I put that environment around her, I started watching her confidence come back. I started watching her cry less. I started watching her smile more, because sometimes life is hard. We whoop their behinds enough. I mean, life whoops their behind enough for us to have to put extra pressure on them when they come home. The math they doing now, that stuff, man, please. I was pretty smart, but I ain't have it like that. But I put her in a position to win. I couldn't do it, but I knew I knew my money could. And I found somebody on an app. And I think everybody else was charging $100 an hour, $60, $70 an hour. He was charging $25 an hour. I'm like, man, let me get 4 of those. I get 4 of those hours. Because I need my baby to understand physics, because I'm seeing her crying and struggling, and she's scared she's going to make a bad grade. I could, not if I'm her daddy. Because I don't want the psychological ramifications that come from her going to bed every night crying and becoming depressed and her soul being sad. And she's always in a dark place and wondering, thinking negative thoughts, because it can happen, because depression. And see, that's what I talked about at the beginning of the show. And I think I'm going to pick up here next week. But that's what I talked about at the beginning of the show, the ACEs, adverse child experiences. So many adverse child experiences. So many of us now are reaping the benefits and the ramifications of adverse child experiences. And those experiences took place 20, 30 years ago. But so if that's the case, why would we put our same children through the same adverse child experiences that we went through, so that they can experience them for in the next 20 or 30 years? Help me out with that. Make that make sense to me. Make it make sense. If you had the power, and you do, the power to create a comfortable environment, because you don't say comfortable where it's super permissive. Dion, sorry, it keeps sending me to an automated machine. Been watching the podcast for about a year. Just okay. I appreciate that. Dion, I'm gonna call you. Hold on just 1 second. I'm gonna see if I can. I don't know what's going on, but I'll fix it. I promise you I will. Let me see if I can make a phone call, y'all. I think I got a phone call. Well, I'm calling him because my phone calls. This Dion. All right, let me click you in on the call. 1 second, okay? I'm sorry, I don't know what was going on, but here we go. Let me get you in. All right. 1 second, Mr. Dion. All right, talk to us. What's going on, sir?
Hey, yeah. Hey, I've been watching the show for about a year now. Just sorry, a little nervous, but just want some advice.
Hold on, do me one favor. Do me one favor. Hold on, I'm gonna count to 3 real fast. And then once I get through counting to 3, you can't be nervous no more. That's the only rule on my show. Okay, you cannot be nervous. So 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1. All right, go ahead.
Okay, hey, how you doing? Hey, yeah, sorry, my name is Dion, man. Just like I said in the message, I've been watching the show for about a year now, and just wanted some advice on, coping with trauma from being, mistreated throughout my childhood, if that makes sense.
Gotcha. How old are you?
I'm 28.
28. Okay. Now let me say this. I'm not qualified to give advice on how to cope with trauma because I'm not a therapist. Okay. Now I have your phone number and I have several therapists at my I can reach out to them and I can have them give you a phone call because like I said, I'm not qualified to give advice. I let people tell their stories and I try to help you make a good decision. Like if there's something specific you would like to talk about and I can kind of talk you through it, I'll be happy to do that. But as far as giving you some type of advice, when you talk about trauma, were you raised with a mother and a father? Were you raised with just a mother? What were your family dynamics?
Just my mom.
Just your mom.
Then grandma, granddad. But yeah, just my mom.
And how did that trauma make you feel? I mean, did the trauma come from your mom, or did the trauma come from your community? Where did that trauma come
from? Well, the trauma came from a family member. She's about 10 years older than me at the time, and she was she was doing things that she shouldn't have been doing to her, younger cousin, and I brought it up later on in life to some family members, and instead of them, dealing with it and accepting it, they told me pretty much, you're grown now. You should have brought it up then. You just need to move on from it and let it be water under the bridge. So, just trying to figure out how to, move past that and deal with that, And I've been watching your show and love everything you have to say and just want to, kind of not unload it on you, but
no. Please unload it on me. Please unload it on me. I feel you on this one 1,000%. So let me ask you a question. How old were you when that was happening to you?
From, I say about 8 to 12 years old.
8 to 12. Wow.
Yeah.
And how has it affected you in your adult life?
I mean, before I met my wife, it was just kind of made me pretty bitter and almost turned me into a womanizer ultimately,
So let me pause. You said before you met your wife, that's what you were bitter?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, before I met my wife, and even during the relationship, it kind of, took a while, but it turned me into I really didn't too much care for how I was affecting people, women in general. So.
Yeah. And let me talk to the audience right quick, because see, so many times, you will see the tree, but you didn't see the seed. I'm talking to the audience right quick. Give me 1 second. You're still here. I want you to stay here, but I want them to understand something. Some people miss this part. Sometimes they'll see the tree, Dion, but they don't see the seed, and they don't understand the process of the seed, the growth that took place, right? And all growth ain't good growth. You have some bad growth, because those are painful years to have to internalize or have to deal with the reality that someone that was supposed to be, that you were supposed to trust, violated you. And I'm gonna be honest with you. I've never said this before, but I can relate to that from the same point, from the same standpoint. I had an older family member do the same thing to me. I was a little bit younger than you were at the time, so I don't think I understood it as much. But as I got older, I started to understand it. And when I would see that person for a season, I started to resent them, and so when you talk about the womanizing aspect of it, and and the disregard, they talk about R. Kelly and how bad he was, but he had an older sister, I believe, that was doing the same thing to him. And what it does is it leaves you over sexualized. You know what I'm saying? It makes you, hypersensitive. It makes you, it gives you confusing thoughts. But I commend you from the standpoint that although you were bitter, notice I said past tense, although you were bitter, although you were in a place, where you hurt women and all those types of things, at least God sent you one that you decided to make your wife. Now, how long have you been married?
7 years now.
7 years. Wow. And how's that relate? Does what happened to you as a boy ever affect your relationship with your wife?
Yeah, definitely early on. Like, we had our issues and had to, get closer to God and deal with those problems. But yeah, definitely caused issues early on that we had to work through.
Do you mind telling me what those issues look like? Because somebody, believe it or not, somebody else listening right now has gone through the same thing you're going through.
Right. Just infidelity on my part.
Okay. And she worked with you through it?
Yes.
Did she understand that part of the infidelity was the root of something bigger? It wasn't, because this ain't gonna make sense to women, but Dion, me and you talking right now. Women, y'all listen. If y'all get something out of it, fine. If you don't, I care, but I don't care. I'm joking. But real talk. Sometimes men cheat. I put men cheating in two categories. It's either greed or need. It's either greed or need. His wife is taking care of him, but he's greedy because he's just going to step outside of himself and do whatever he wants to because he's greedy. Or it's need because it's something missing. It's a void that's missing at home. Either she's physically ill or something like my friend Dion has gone through because that need had to be satisfied. And how did you, what did the infidelity do for you? What need did it satisfy?
I mean, honestly, I don't even know.
Because there's an emotion attached to it. It's because it could be, I'm gonna get every woman back because this happened to me. You know what I'm saying? Or it could be, this is gonna prove. Go ahead, listen. I'm listening.
Yeah, definitely that plays an aspect for sure.
Yeah.
I'm gonna fuck you over if somebody fuck me over.
Yeah. I feel that. And people don't realize, because all they do is they see the act, but they don't understand where the act came from, right? But thankfully, you have a wife. Is she older? Or y'all the same age?
I'm sorry?
Is your wife older? Y'all the same age? Okay, good.
Sorry for cussing too. I didn't mean to cuss on the podcast.
Man, please cuss. I'll be cussing sometimes too. But what were her parental dynamics?
Parents split up, but she's got a good mom and a good dad.
Okay, good. So they're both in her life. Okay, cool. So because she's a very mature woman, because most people like you, if you've been listening to my show for over a year, you've heard me use the expression where some people would rather amputate than rehabilitate. But thankfully, your wife was willing to see you through that traumatic situation, because what you went through, first of all, was not your fault. From the ages of 8 through 12, that was not your fault. You didn't deserve what happened to you. Let me just say that you did not deserve it. That was not supposed to happen. She's a predator. She should be locked up because she satisfied her own personal desires as opposed to being concerned about your future. And she doesn't realize that even 20 years later, you're still dealing with the trauma from something that happened 20 years ago. And that's not fair. That's not fair. So that's not your fault. Second of all, you don't get over it, but you get through it. Thankfully, you have somebody that is able to help you get through it in your wife. Y'all have been together, you said, for going on 7-8 years now. And y'all survived infidelity. Now, let me just go and tell you this. You don't need to cheat anymore. That's just as you're a man. And as a grown man, you don't need to do that. You need to find friends who are going to hold you accountable. If you have friends that want to invite you to strip clubs and the places where single people go and all those kind of things, you don't need those friends. Those are friends you need to disconnect yourself from. Your wife is worth the investment just by the mere fact that she stuck it out with you. Because most of them cut and run. Mine stuck around 17 years after I messed up. I just never changed. But if you change, and I'm challenging you to change, young man, I'm challenging you to change as your big brother, as uncle, whatever you want to call me. You've started the process. As far as the forgiveness aspect of it, you got to do that how you want to do it. I get it. Like I said, I've been there. I've learned to forgive mine. I've learned to move past it. I'm 52 years old though. You know what I'm saying? You're only 28, so it happened to you a lot more recent than it happened to me. You understand what I'm saying? So work your way through it. If you don't mind, can I keep your phone number? Because like I said, I want to put somebody in contact with you. Do you mind if I do that?
Yeah. No,
you
definitely.
don't? Okay, cool. I want to put somebody in contact with you, but we're gonna pray for you, and we're gonna keep, because if you believe in prayer, and I think you do, I definitely want to put you on my prayer list, and I want to thank you for the courage to make this phone call, and please know that Stu Nation is praying for you. All of us are praying for you, because right now you have everybody speechless. Nobody's saying anything, and I think I understand why. But I appreciate you for your vulnerability. I appreciate you for your transparency. And whether you know it or not, Dion, that was a strength, what you did tonight. And I want to thank you for your strength. Okay. But I'm going to have somebody, we're going to be in contact with you real soon. Okay.
I appreciate you, man.
Alicia just told me to tell you're not alone either. You didn't go through that by yourself.
Thank you.
Okay.
This is the first person outside of God and my wife that I've talked to about this, and my mom. So I appreciate you, man.
Man, for real, bro. All right, man. Do me a favor. Yeah. Stay. Inbox me your address. I'm gonna send you a book. I'm gonna shoot you a book. Okay. I'm gonna send you one of my books. My book is called Stuck on the Couch. But I'm sending books out tomorrow, and I'm gonna make sure I send you one, because I sense in my spirit that you are on that couch, but I want you to get up. But I want you to get up with power, and I want you to get up with veracity. I want you to get up with the strength, and I want you to get up with a new strength. I'm going to pray now. God, in Jesus' name, I come before you on behalf of my brother Dion, who has exemplified strength, courage, transparency, has come forth with a testimony, God, that's going to bless others, that's going to free others, that's going to free him tonight. And I thank you for him. I thank you for his life. I thank you for his wife, his confidant, though, that one that you've placed along beside him, Father God, in these tumultuous times, considering what he's gone through, Father God. You gave him a helpmeet, someone to help him meet his obligations, to help him get through these tough times. And I thank you for her. I thank you for I thank you for him. I thank you for their union. I thank you for children. I thank you for everything that you're doing in their life. I even pray that you would touch Dion's heart, soften it where it needs to be softened, but also, God, give him the antennas to be sensitive when danger is near. So, Father God, that he can move accordingly. I thank you for all that you're going to do, for all those that are listening that might have been victims of child predators, for those that have done inappropriate touch, that exposed children to the wrong things too soon. God, I pray, God, for protection. I pray that you would help these children feel understood and realize that they did nothing wrong, didn't deserve what happened to them. But God, that you would still give them the fortitude to make it through what appears to be dysfunction. I praise you for this phone call. I praise you for this video or this show on tonight. I pray that we would touch souls, touch hearts, that we would change lives. Thank you. And I pray that it starts with Dion. I pray that he gets the peace that he seeketh. And I pray that you would give him an unexplainable peace, one that passeth all understanding. And God, once you do it, we'll be careful to give you the praise, because we realize that every good and perfect gift comes from above, and that you alone, God, are able to provide blessings. So God, bless Dion, bless his family, bless all of those who are under the sound of my voice, and we call it done. In Jesus' name I pray, amen, and thank God. Amen. All right, Dion, you're my partner now, right? We're on the team now, right?
Yeah, definitely, man. Appreciate
it. All right, let me hear from you more often. Hit me up, send me a friend request on Facebook, and shoot me an inbox and give me that address, and I'll make sure you get your book, okay?
All right, thank you, man.
Thank you, my friend. Oh, that call just blessed me. That call just blessed me. Y'all just don't know what people are going through. But Viola, Lori, Alicia, people going through stuff. But here we are telling them to go back to sleep. People going through stuff. We tell them to be quiet. Alicia, what if somebody would have heard you early in life? He was expected to tell at 8. Yeah, right. I'm out. You want to bless the platform? It'd be much appreciated. I'll give you the cash app. Cash app, the intellectual stew. $5, $10, $2, whatever. Anything will bless the platform. The intellectual stew. I messed up on this one a little bit, y'all. Yeah. I can relate. I had to forgive her, but I can relate. We're going to start with ACEs next week, adverse child experiences. But y'all pray for Dion. The world is changing. My question is, why? I'm going to bed on that one, y'all. He messed me up on that one. Good night. I love y'all. I'll talk to you later.
Intellectual stew.